What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. I'm going to do something fun today. Before the 2021 season, I made a bunch of videos predicting the records of each and every team in the NFL. For today's video, I'm going to go back on all of those prediction videos and see how my predictions for each team matched up to the actual standings and see how accurate I was. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill around here. Mott's applesauce, if you're ever hungry, thirsty, whatever it might be, Mott's applesauce will satisfy whatever satisfying you need to satisfy with the Caveman guarantee. I promise it will never fail you. Alright, so let's get into it. We're going to start with the top of the AFC with the AFC North. Here are my predictions. I have the Browns going 12-5, the Ravens going 11-6, the Bengals going 7-10, and the Steelers going 5-12. Also, ignore the fact that I managed to spell prediction incorrectly. I don't know how I let that slip. As I'm sure you're probably aware, my predictions for the AFC North really did not come close to matching up with reality. We had the Bengals coming in first at 10-7, the Steelers were 9-7-1, the Browns went 8-9, and the Ravens went 8-9 themselves as well. Granted, who was projecting the Cleveland Browns to be flopping on their face the way they did? I mean, that was just such a letdown. Same thing with the Ravens. I mean, I made this video before all those injuries happened. If they were a healthy football team, I think 11-6 was more than realistic. The Steelers, I'm still surprised were able to muster together a season above 500. Their run game was pretty putrid, not to mention they were not good at moving the ball deep down the field. But their defense was able to carry them the rest of the way, and then, of course, the Bengals, just like a majority of people, I did not see them making the playoffs, let alone going to the AFC Championship, and let alone going to the Super Bowl. I have them going 7-10. To kick off the video, my first division predictions definitely are not starting out too hot. Now, next up, we got the AFC East, and things kind of turn around a little bit for me here. I had the Bills going 14-3, the Dolphins going 9-8, the Patriots going 7-10, and the Jets going 4-13. Now, unlike my AFC North predictions, I was actually pretty damn accurate with my AFC East predictions. The Jets that I had predicted at 4-13 actually went 4-13, and the Dolphins that I had predicted at 9-8 actually went 9-8. Now, the Patriots, at the time of making that original video, I did not foresee them being able to go above 500, let alone making the playoffs. I had them at 7-10, but you got to tip your hat to Bill Belichick and what he was able to do with that team. Now, as far as the Bills go, my prediction that they would win the division ended up being correct, although that was very obvious. 14-3 just did not account for the blunders that we actually suffered in 2021. The Steelers in week 1, I just did not see that happening. Losing to the Jaguars, I mean, just shit like that went down just was not accounted for in my original prediction, but that's okay. The AFC East predictions were pretty damn accurate. I can't help but be happy with it. Now, next up, we have the AFC West, and this is going to be a little bit of an interesting one. My original predictions had the Chiefs going 14-3, the Chargers going 13-4, the Broncos going 5-12, and the Raiders going 4-13. Now, if it weren't for the Chiefs playing like a bunch of potato heads to start the year, I do think 14-3 was very possible. The Chargers, I was extremely high on. I thought they were going to be able to overcome those self-made obstacles that held them back in 2020, but lo and behold, in 2021, they suffered with the same kind of bullshit. The Broncos, I knew, would be completely mediocre. I don't think the difference between 5 and 7 wins is that tremendous. I mean, people were high on the Broncos going into 2021, and once they sat Drew Lock for Teddy Bridgewater, I knew that their season was not going to be any better than what they ended up finishing with. But the biggest doozy here is my prediction for the Raiders. At the time of this video, I was extremely passionate in the sense that I thought the Raiders were dumb for not trying to blow it up and just kind of restart where they were currently at. I didn't think they had what it took. And they completely proved me wrong, going 10-7, making the playoffs, and they just revamped their team even more this offseason. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they have to offer, but just to really give you a hint as to how passionate I was about the Raiders, this is what I truly thought of them at the time. Talk about scary. I'd be pissed and scared if I was a Raiders fan, because there is no daylight to be seen anytime soon. Like, I'm being honest here. Yeah, it's safe to say that they proved me wrong, and that was one of my worst takes going into 2021, that's for sure. And the final division for the AFC, we got the AFC South, and my predictions had the Colts going 13-4, the Titans going 11-6, the Jags going 3-14, and the Texans with a fat donut hole going 0-17. Now, obviously, my predictions didn't quite reflect what actually happened for the AFC South. I was a little bit too high on the Colts for my own good. I thought Carson Wentz was going to turn his career around and be very good for the Colts, but it turns out I was completely wrong. He was so inconsistent throughout the entire season. I truly thought that 13-4 was a ceiling that they could reach, but, you know, Carson Wentz playing like a complete traffic cone certainly did not help my case. I was pretty close with the Titans prediction. They ended up going 12-5. Texans surprised a lot of people. I was not the only person giving them an 0-17 prediction, but they were able to muster up 4 wins, so good on them. And then the Jaguars, I actually got completely correct. They truly did go 3-14. Aside from my Colts overhype at the time, I think my prediction for the AFC South really was not too far off. Now let's move into the NFC, starting at the top at the NFC North. I had the Packers going 14-3, the Bears going 9-8, 8, the Vikings going 7 and 10, and the Lions going 4 and 13. Truth be told, the Packers did end up winning the division, of course. If they didn't get blown out by the Saints in the very first week of football, my prediction would have been spot on for them. As far as the Bears go, they ended up going 6 and 11, which was extremely depressing because I did think they had a relatively solid team going into 2021, but Matt Nagy just completely destroyed the first 3/4 of their season, and it just completely tanked them down the drain. The Vikings, although they went 8 and 9, they were one very close Pat Freiermuth catch to being 7 and 10 like I had them predicted. Everybody was so high on the Vikings going into last season. Oh, second year Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, they got Adam Thielen. Oh, they got Pat Peterson and Everson Griffin back. Blah, blah, blah. They were getting so overhyped, but it just doesn't matter. They're the Vikings. They will consistently be mediocre no matter what. And I stuck to that narrative. That's the prediction I gave them, and lo and behold, they finished 8 and 9. For the Lions, I gave them a 4 and 13 projection. They ended up going 3-13 and 1, but there were a lot of games that they competed hard in that if they had a couple more bounces and they finished the entirety of the 60 minutes, they probably could have came out with a victory. That game against the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, my God, that Justin Tucker field goal was nuts. But yeah, those are my predictions for the NFC North, and they were relatively accurate. Aside from me slightly overhyping the Chicago Bears, I think I was pretty spot on here. Now we'll move into the NFC South, where I predicted the Buccaneers to come in first of the division at 14 and 3, the Saints in second at 12 and 5, the Panthers at 7 and 10, and the Falcons at 3 and 14. My NFC South predictions were not the most accurate. I was only one win off for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who ended up going 13 and 4. Saints at 12 and 5 was kind of a ceiling that I had for them that I thought they could meet, and if Jameis Winston did not get hurt, I do think 12 and 5 could have been extremely realistic for them. Panthers, I had a shit ton of hope for, man, especially after the way they started the year. I thought they were going to be one of the better teams in the NFC, and then they just completely fell off a cliff after Sam Darnold started playing like dog shit, and then he got hurt, and their quarterback situation just completely tanked them. Then as far as the Falcons go, I was pretty damn far off on them. They proved my sorry ass wrong by going 7 and 10. So hats off to Matt Ryan, hats off to the Falcons for putting together a relatively respectable season. But yeah, my predictions for the NFC South were not the worst. They were not the best either. If you flip the Panthers and the Falcons, I at least get the order of how the teams finished correct. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Let's move on. 2 divisions remaining. We have the NFC East up next. I had the Cowboys going 9 and 8, the football team going 9 and 8, the Giants going 5 and 12, and the Eagles going 4 and 13. Safe to say I really botched this one, yeah? As far as my prediction for the Cowboys go, I just didn't think they were going to be able to get out of their own way per usual, but during the regular season, they at least were able to, and they ended up going 12 and 5. Granted, if they would have played the regular season the way they played that playoff game, they absolutely would have went 9 and 8, maybe even worse. I mean, that was an awful playoff performance, and then they finished it in the most Dallas Cowboys way possible. As far as the football team goes, I'm starting to realize that there were a few teams going into 2021 that I had high hopes for, and they just completely fell flat on their face, one region or another. That includes the football team, the Chargers, the Colts. I mean, the list goes on. But when your defense plays far below expectations and your starting quarterback gets hurt halfway through the game in week 1, it's kind of hard to rebound from that. They did go 7 and 10, which wasn't horrible for their circumstances. The Eagles, I completely disrespected. I'm not even sure exactly why. I don't remember why I had them going 4 and 13. I guess I just thought they were going to be flat out horrible. They ended up going 9 and 8. Granted, I will say every single one of their wins were against teams under 500. So if their schedule would have been a tad bit harder, 4 and 13, I feel like could have been very realistic. The Giants were the record I was closest with. All right, 5 and 12, they went 4 and 13. If Daniel Jones was healthier, I think they easily could have had 5 wins. If they were healthier as a team in general, I think they could have had upwards of 7 or 8 wins even. You know, that may sound crazy, but they were not that bad. The entire skill position room for the Giants offense was hurt for like a majority of the season. Saquon Barkley missed a ton of time. A lot of their receivers missed a ton of time. Daniel Jones got hurt in week 11 or 12, and they were rolling out Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm at the tail end. I mean, no wonder why they went 5 and 12. Their injury luck is slightly different. I truthfully think they could have been at least a 7-win team, and that's crazy to say. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform with Brian Dable. But yeah, the NFC East, I was pretty far off, but it's still a dumpster fire of a division. And finally, last but not least, we have my predictions for the NFC West, aka the best division in football, at least as far as 2021 is concerned. In my predictions, I had the Rams winning the division at 15 and 2, the Seahawks going 11 and 6, the 49ers going 9 and 8, and the Cardinals going 8 and 9. Now, aside from the Rams winning the division, and I did have them as my NFC favorites, I was pretty much far off on the rest of this division. If the Rams could have figured their shit out sooner, I think 15 and 2 could have been very realistic, but they were so inconsistent for like 3/4 of the season. Seahawks, I mean, they were just the Seahawks. Russell Wilson got hurt halfway through. They were losing games, and then he came back, and he looked like a shell of his former self, and they finished the way they did for a reason. The 49ers, I was relatively close. I had them going 9 and 8. They went 10 7-7. For the Cardinals, even though they went 11-6 and I had them going 8-9, I would not change my prediction at all. I mean, that sounds kind of dumb to say, but truthfully, like, the second half of the season Cardinals that we saw, that's a team I expected to see throughout the entire year, except, you know, they started off, what, 8-0? And then out of nowhere, after their extremely hot start, they just completely fell off a cliff. I was not sold on all of their veteran acquisitions, making them a very good team. I think DeAndre Hopkins going down was a major contributor to the fact that they just completely started to suck. So yeah, there we go. That was kind of exciting to go back on my old predictions and see how it matched up. I got 6 of the 8 division winners correct. I mean, that's a pat on back, right? There were a couple teams I also got the records exactly straight on. So you know what? I did not have the worst predictions in the world, all right? A lot of teams just did not perform to the expectations they were set at, but I'm not completely upset about it. It was extremely fun to be able to go back and look at how I did. It's crazy that it's been a year since then, and I'm going to be doing this exact type of series going to 2022 as well. Let me know any thoughts you have down in the comment section below. Let me know if you had predictions about 2021 and how they matched up to the actual standings. Any thoughts you might have, you know what to do. Leave them down below. As always, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe to all the fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload, I'd appreciate that. You want to go over to Twitter, follow me over there. I'd appreciate that as well. I have a TikTok down in my description that I think you should check out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.